So, job titles. You know, I've had titles that have been people, legal, but what about global business development?
Sounds fancy.
It does, right? And so I've always had this creative bent. And one thing that I think is really important is to find things that drive your teams and things that they want to get into and giving them opportunities. So when I was living in Australia, I was head of people and legal for a media company, but we created magazines all over, largely all over the US, a little bit international, but certainly nothing in Australia. But when I lived there, Australia is like, I swear, it's like going back in time, like 10, 20 years ago, not from a rotary phone or whatever, but from like when you go to like the shops, like when I was there, Amazon was not a thing in Australia. And so everyone goes to shops and you're around and you like see people. And so still magazines, like the touch of them was really big. And we did these like luxury magazines, including some custom publications. And so I told my boss, the CEO, I was like, I think there can be opportunity here. And he was like, have at it. What do you want to do? And so I was like, I want to start reaching out to some of these. And I had done sales before I went to law school. But I said, I'd love to set up some of these opportunities. And he's like, love it. Go for it. Tell me what you need. And so I added, because I was like, well, that would be very strange. If you were, for example, I reached out to a brand new 6-star hotel they were building there, like different companies to create these like publications. And I'm like, it would be very strange to have someone reach out that's like legal. Like, so I was like, I got to have a good title. So I was like, what about global business development? And so I still did my job, which I do think is important. I still did the core aspects of my job, people and legal, but I created these emails. I worked with like our custom sales team to like vet things out, get like the media kit. All of a sudden I have meetings with like these heads of marketing, like a large hotel chain and things like that. And it was like, I was so invigorated. I got such a kick out of it. And I feel like I brought a new energy to the other things that I did. And I, handed everything over. And so it's a lesson that I think if you have employees and you're like, what's something you've always wanted to try that you haven't? Sometimes the answer will not be yes, what can I do? And I get that. And I'm sure I had other ideas that weren't, but I always appreciated that, having a leader that was like, tell me what you want. What do you need? Let's talk about ways to make it work. And I really got a kick out of that. So my tenure, you will not see that if you're going to my LinkedIn to see that, because it sounds a bit, I don't need that many words in your LinkedIn bio, but yeah, fictitious global business development title. But
I love that.
Give people opportunities. Yeah.
Titles can open doors.
Mm-hmm.
Right. I don't know if y'all have been in this situation where internally people had to be aligned and like they had to have the same titles, right?
Yes.
But, they changed their titles externally because the market demanded that. That's the only way they can get the foot in, right? They had to have, the big long title, so they could go to those big hotel chains and weasel themselves in there to make a deal, like it's true.
When I had first moved to Australia, I'd rejoined. This is a prior company I'd worked for. And so my title, my first go around when it was part of a much larger public company was like corporate counsel. It's about the most junior that you're going to get in a legal function, corporate counsel. There are junior corporate counsel, but I was that. But when I rejoined, so my title was senior corporate counsel when I rejoined, but I would be on calls with people and they'd say, oh, well, we're having our senior most. So make sure you're senior most. So I went, well, that's also me. And so that's how I got my general counsel title. When I had said to the CEO, I'm like, people are asking. And he's like, so that's fine. Make it general counsel. And I remember in my mind thinking, like, I'm so proud of myself. Like in my 30s, I'm getting this title. This is amazing. And I just, changed it in my system. And I think probably went and bought myself a Vegemite scroll. But yes, titles do matter. It is hilarious, the titles that you will see sometimes, especially if you look at like people you used to work with and now like a couple jobs passed and you see how they describe their job and the title they had. You're like, maybe not so much.
But no, that wasn't it.
Right.
Yeah.
Chief everything officer. Like, oh, well, you're an account coordinator, but cool. Whatever works.
Hey, whatever, right? I mean,
yeah, I mean, look at me, chief meme officer.
There you go.
C-suite, baby. So
exactly. You can be anything you want to be.
I did. I met with, and you guys would have loved it. Leigh, with the accents, you would have, I would meet with these Australian executives, there they have their suits are all real tightly tailored, the short pants, like they're going on The Bachelor, all that. So Leigh, if you ever want to book, just change your title, schedule some meetings, and we'll all go on a business trip together. So there we go.
That sounds like something I do.
Hold on, I'm brainstorming. I feel like there might be a trip.
I know.
Global business development person. Ashley, work your magic.
I know. We're all senior executive global business development extraordinaire aficionados, something. I don't know, something long.
The CFO and she and I took over some accounts even when I came back and we worked together. The CEO, we were like, I'm looking in the CRM, these accounts, these are great accounts. We use these products. We should market to them. And he's like, have at it. And so it was giving people some creativity. Don't stay in your lane. Drive all over the highway like a mad woman.
Exactly. You got to develop,
That's right.
Come on. Gosh, the power of titles, though. That's some hot goss there in the water cooler. Just make up your own jobs, people. That's the message here. You know what I mean? Call yourself whatever. No one gives a shit. All right?
Deep in the ocean, an orca pod is on the hunt. But these aren't your average orcas. These guys are organized.
Marketing team, did you get those social media posts scheduled for the SEAL migration?
Aye, Captain. We even have an automated notification for all pod managers when they go live.
They use Monday.com to keep their teamwork sharp, their communication clear, and their goals in sight. Monday.com. For whatever you run, even orcas. Go to Monday.com to dive deeper.
Introducing Bluehost Cloud. Ultra-fast WordPress hosting with 100% uptime. Want a website with unmatched power, speed, and control? Of course you do. And now you can have all three with Bluehost Cloud, the new web hosting plan from Bluehost. With 100% uptime and incredibly speedy load times, your WordPress websites will be dependable and lightning fast on a global scale. Plus, your sites can handle even the biggest traffic spikes without going down or lagging. And with Bluehost Cloud, you get 24/7 WordPress priority support, meaning you're connected to WordPress experts anytime you need them. Not to mention, you automatically get daily backups and world-class security. So, what are you waiting for? Get Bluehost Cloud today by visiting Bluehost.com. That's Bluehost.com.
Whew, we have a lot on the agenda today. Shall we dive in? I think we shall. Cringe Corporate Speak is up first on the agenda, and that is going to be brought to us today by Jamie. Thank you in advance for covering that. And then we are going to shift into our hot topic of the meeting today, and it is all things using AI at work. What can AI do for you? Well, we're gonna explore that a little bit, maybe share what we use it for, and definitely encourage you all to reach out on the socials, and we'll share your best tips as well in our stories. And then, as always, we'll save some time for some Q's and C's, questions and comments before closing out the meeting. Jamie, what do you have for us from a Cringe Speak perspective?
Yeah, so today I have aligned, and I know all three of us are guilty of using this in our own little text chat groups. But I've seen it a lot more recently, and maybe it's because we are using it, but I even see it in business emails now. Mm-hmm. So I got one just last week, it said, we're aligned. And I'm like, oh my God. Mm-hmm. It's now the new overused phrase when we're like, yep, got it. Good to go. Gotcha.
I said it earlier in this meeting already. I mean, in my defense, though, I've been saying aligned for a decade probably. Like that has definitely been a word, right? Like aligned. We're aligned, right?
Yeah.
I remember when I had joined I joined a company literally almost exactly 10 years ago to the day, and I had never heard this in corporate. We used to use, even where I'd come from a public company, but it was no corporate speak whatsoever, no meetings, like kind of
Nice.
do your thing. I know it was nice, but I switched to a culture. I had like 45 meetings a week, but like I'm like day 1 or 2, my senior to me colleague said aligned. And it was like, I felt like all of a sudden it was transformed into like a power suit. Like I thought, oh, that's a very powerful word. So I adopted it really quickly to really upskill myself and sound completely unnatural and like I had shoulder pads on. So yeah, but I agree.
We're not just in agreement. We are aligned. Like we are lock arm, lock step, right?
Yep.
Like, whoo, aligned.
Totally. But it is funny. I mean, it's cringe because it basically means agreement, but it does sound, I do think it adds a certain cachet to it.
Yeah, it's just a little more proper. It's kind of got like that superhero vibe. I don't know, something about it, right? Is it sexier? Because it's got a silent G? I don't know. like my name. I just made that connection. I didn't say it on purpose.
Literally, Leigh, I did too. Literally.
Okay.
I was literally about to say that, Leigh, that I was like, well, you have a silent G, so that's you're certainly the sexiest voice I've ever heard. So there we go. But while it's cringe, it is a savior corporate word because it's absolutely one of those you can say if you have not been paying the most attention in a meeting. You can say, well, I'm really trying to get to alignment here. Someone will chime in. That's all you got to say.
Mm-hmm. There you go. God, I love the word alignment too. That's hot.
Yeah.
Oh God. Shall we shift over to the hot topic of all things AI? And you all are really in for a treat today because we do have an AI expert here with us, and that is Ashley. We have a SME, a subject matter expert in Ashley, who has courses on this. Like she's like legit, and totally encourage you all to look those up. LinkedIn Learning, shout out, and just her content, her newsletter, sign up for that as well. But we're going to talk a little bit about all things AI at work. Right? And what it can do for you. Ashley, kick us off. Like, what the hell even is AI? What does it mean?
Well, I'll talk about it, but like a leader, I'll talk about myself first, is that when you said expert, I thought to myself, when you were little in school, did you read it wasn't highlights, but it was like Roger Reader or those like little paper magazine things?
Well, I read highlights.
Okay, so maybe it was similar to highlights. I think it was the highlights they delivered to classrooms in the 1980s. And the stories, they never named a name, but it would always say, experts say. And I remember being in 3rd grade and thinking to myself, wow, what would it be like to have someone call me an expert one day? And so, I feel like in addition to getting my global business development title, this is really a peak of my professional career that I'm called
been promoted.
Yeah, I've been promoted to an expert. And so that feels good. An expert, what it really means is you've just done it and tell people about it. And so you can be an expert in a lot of things. But
there you go.
With AI, I think what AI can do that's really helpful, no matter what your role, but in HR, at work, is it can be like your personal coach in your pocket or on demand. And it also can be really, really objective, because when you're going through things at work, you may think, okay, I want someone's opinion on this. Well, you reach out to somebody and they may even be your work bestie, but they're busy. And so they kind of have that interior, like, okay, well, give me 5 minutes. They can't be available, or they bring their own thoughts. They think something's awful or you should totally rephrase it, but they don't want to hurt your feelings. So they're not giving you full feedback. ChatGPT does not give a shit about you. And that's a wonderful thing, because that makes it really valuable for you. And I mean, it doesn't bring preconceived things, but so I say ChatGPT, AI, artificial intelligence, there's generative AI, which are things like ChatGPT and tools that they build on each other. So you can have prompts, so you ask it questions, and then whatever it says, you can continue it like it's a conversation. There's other non-generative AI, which is just kind of like, you ask it one question, but there's a lot. So there's now, there's Copilot, Microsoft. Mm-hmm. There's one that I don't love, which is on Instagram. Now, if you go to search for someone and you're trying to search for something, is sometimes you'll look and there's also, that's the same search bar for AI. So I know Meta's trying there. And so I think they're still kind of figuring that out. But a lot of these are like computer learning, and they're doing what I've assumed for a long time. When you do things on a computer, like it's taking your information but making it valuable. And so ChatGPT or AI tools overall can make things really, really efficient. And so if you are listening and you've never really gone to explore, AI things, and you're feeling kind of anxious about it, you are in the majority of people I've spoken with. This is why I have LinkedIn Learning courses on it, because I'd done regular management training sessions and had said, hey, who's ever used ChatGPT? And no one's hands were raised. And so go to chatgpt.com and start asking questions. One thing is, in any time, if you're doing it for work, is to be mindful of your organization's policies. All the organizations are kind of playing catch up, so a lot still don't have policies. But again, always make sure you're following those. But my rules of thumb are AI and ChatGPT are not diaries and they're not encyclopedias. So don't put in things like your company's name, employee personal information, anything like that. But use it for more general tips. It's also not an encyclopedia. It's getting better. But so it's not facts. But the things it can be great for are like if you're going to write a message and you think, okay, I want to rephrase it, copy and paste it and write rephrase to sound more professional or things like that. And all of a sudden it's generating things. And, there it is. It's like it's like your editor coach in a second. But ladies, how do you use AI?
I remember the conversation on AI really started hitting like a couple of years ago. I mean, it's always been, a buzz, right? It's coming, it's been here, whatever. But, it just really came to the forefront. And I was on a business trip last summer in France. And my team that I was with, we were at lunch and we started talking about ChatGPT, and several people on the team had never heard of it at all. And so someone had pulled it up and they said, hey, give me an email to a customer from a sales point of view. And it pulled up a real email, right? That could be sent like from the business I was with. And someone at the table obviously was French, right? We're in France. And he's like, see, this doesn't sound like me though. And so the coworker goes, hey, ChatGPT, make me French though. Make it sound French. We were dying laughing because it put Z. Yeah, no, it was literally doing that. It was like the client, like it literally made it sound French and like short and kind of curt and stuff like. And the guy's like, holy shit! He's like, this sounds like me, and it did. I mean, it sounded exactly like what he would say. It was so clever.
That's so
and
funny.
So that's what has fascinated me is that as I use generative AI more and more, it sounds more and more like me. And I mean, that's kind of mind blowing, right? It kind of it's starting to understand like my humor, or it's putting in some sarcasm. And I've barely touched the surface. I mean, I'm just dipping toes in still. I'm still Googling all like old school geriatric millennial, but the more and more I use it, I'm just fascinated about how it really does, to your point, become like this buddy for you, this assistant, this coach. Like it really starts understanding you and can almost read your mind in a way, right?
Well, hold on. Before Jamie, you say something substantive. When you said France, I thought you were going to say, ChatGPT in France, people found it hilarious because ChatGPT is in French. When you say it in the French language, it basically means cat, I farted. It's like that.
No way.
Yes,
no
that's
way.
what I thought you were about to say. Yes,
oh,
it's like
maybe
the way
that's why they were laughing at it.
That's the way you translate. And I think there's some slang that's a bit less appropriate even. And so when you said that, I thought you were going to talk about, and so that's what makes me laugh. And so like the pronunciation literally of ChatGPT, I guess they still call it that in France.
Are you serious? Cat, I farted?
Oh yeah. If you,
my
yeah,
gosh.
like, yeah. It's
wow. Cat fart.
Oh, I love France. Some say financial crime is victimless, but that definitely isn't the case, especially when it ends in murder. You need to check out Money Crimes, a new show hosted by best-selling author and entrepreneur Nicole Lapin. Money Crimes is about the world's biggest financial scandals and how they can spiral out of control in ways you'd never expect. From cunning Ponzi schemes to cutthroat politics and even murderous con artists, you'll learn that the finance world is more dangerous than you ever imagined, and most importantly, how to protect yourself from it. Money Crimes is a Crime House original powered by Pave Studios. New episodes release every Thursday. Just search for Money Crimes. That's MoneyCrimes. Here's something I'm really looking forward to as the weather turns cooler. Football games. Remember, I went to a state school. Pumpkin spice lattes, soup. I love a creamy soup. And slipping into a cozy sweater from Quince. Quince is known for their Mongolian cashmere sweaters from $50. And it's not just that. All Quince items are priced 50 to 80% less than similar brands. That's right, less. That includes beautiful leather jackets, cotton cardigans, soft denim, and so much more. In fact, I have this adorable, cozy blush pink hoodie that I am obsessed with. Even though I'm in Texas and it's still going to be a while till it gets cool outside, it's freezing inside. So that is my go-to. Love. So get cozy in Quince's high quality wardrobe essentials. Go to quince.com/HRBesties for free shipping on your order and 365-day returns. That's QUINCE.com/HRBesties to get free shipping and 365-day returns. Quince.com/HRBesties.
All right.
Give us your substantive advice or examples.
Well, what I was going to say was same thing. I heard it really at ChatGPT. So like last year, but I love it. And I use it a lot for when I'm trying to sound professional, but it's 3 PM and I can't get the words out. I mean, not just for that reason, but it really helps me with verbiage. And sometimes I know what I want to say, and so I can easily type it, but I really just want to like dress it up a little bit. Mm-hmm. And so it kind of like remix. Wiki. I just did the hand motion like I'm scratching an album. It kind of like remixes it for me. And that's, I like love it. And at work, they apparently IT can tell how many times you use it. And so I told one of my friends in IT, I was like, girl, feel free to tell on me. I use that shit all the time. I was like, it dresses up my emails and my verbiage for me. Like, I don't, it's not doing my work. It's not, but it just helps me, especially on days like sometimes, I had a really bad open enrollment and just I was mentally and emotionally and physically drained because there was a giant issue that happened. And responding to emails, I really wanted to be like, someone fucked up. It wasn't me. Exactly. We're going to get it fixed. But instead,
you needed a communication, right?
Yes. Yeah. Yes. I wanted to make sure that it sounded professional and not Jamie is crying in the corner in the fetal position. Yeah.
A few ways to think of it is, like I said, personal coach, and I'll talk about those, but also, people feel like, is AI going to come for our jobs? And there are some areas of like, there's certain graphic design. I played this a while ago where I was like, can you come up with an image of Jamie, Leigh, and me from HR Besties? I am telling you, ChatGPT is not here yet to take our job. I mean, it was, it did not look like us. It had random text misspellings on the screen. And again, more and more, it's figuring it out. But even when you give it feedback, like, no, you have random letters on the screen. Okay, it regenerates it. Still random It's still random letters on the screen. It's figuring things out.
Yeah.
But there are some aspects that it definitely will, but it's the people that learn how to master it and leverage it into your work. But things like Excel, like we hear from people that are like, I don't know how to use Excel. You can write in ChatGPT, like, how do I make a formula? If I have like last name, comma, first name, how do I have a formula to do that? Or in Copilot, you can do that with Microsoft and add that, and it can help you like, oh, this is how you do it. And so what I like is you can speak to it like a real person, and it can create the formulas and things that you need if you don't know how to use those technical tools. So it's kind of cool to do it that way. I did recently, I was coming up with a list of to try to figure out percentages of like my Manager 101 course, like what percentages is each module at if I move them around. And I just copied and pasted the name of the modules and the time. And it's like 7% this. And if you want to divide it evenly, here's some options to restructure these topics. Like it can be good at doing that data, but in a much better way than you could do it in like Google. But things like using it as like a coach, if you're coming to AI and you really haven't used it before, like think of it for personal use. Like Jamie, like if you're feeling down in the dumps, you can go to ChatGPT and say, I'm having a bad day. Can you just say a kind word about me? Like, and I mean that, like it's, if you just need that, and it will be like, sure. Like it like comes and it has this voice, and it's not a substitute, certainly not a substitute for real human interaction. But when you just need something in a pinch and you're like, I don't want to ask anybody else. Yeah, quick. If you just need a quickie, if you need that quick. But also if using it for things like work, again, like rephrase this. How do I say it? Or topic, like I'm thinking about next steps in my career path. What would it look like if my title's this? What would that look like? What are questions I should ask in my interview? It can just help make your life easier. But even flipping outside of work, like, you're listening to this and you're like, someone's like, what's for dinner tonight? You're like, fuck my life. I don't know. You can say, like, what would something be good for dinner tonight if these are things I have in my refrigerator? Or talk now, a lot of times people are in the sandwich generation where you have kids, you're caring for your kids, you're caring for your aging parents. And it's a phase of life most people aren't prepared for. It's hard to prepare for that. But so you can say, can you help me come up with a schedule or questions to ask my, parents' healthcare provider about this? Or how can I have a schedule to help my parent with some of the medications? And so you can put some of that information in that can really help in that way. And so I also, the last thing I'll say on this is, like a few weeks ago, we were at urgent care. My son was sick and I was like so tired because he hadn't slept well the night before. I had not slept well. And I'm trying to keep him entertained and I don't want to sit there on the phone. I cannot physically think of a story at this point in time. But I was like, hey, buddy, do you want me to ask ChatGPT to think of a story? And he was laughing. He's like, can it do that? And I was like, let me tell you. And so I was like, can you think of, hey, ChatGPT, can you write a story for a 10-year-old boy named my son's name? And he's a fan of the Atlanta Braves and he likes acting and, something else. And it's like, sure. And it comes up. And so I'm like laughing reading the story. And so we're chuckling and it can't take out all the creativity and all the things that make you human. But in a pinch, it can just make things easier. So I recommend trying it out, even if you want to dip your toe in the water. When we launched our podcast, we were asked, can we get HR Besties merch? And this was wild to us. And it really happened. Like, it wasn't just our moms asking us, although they do support us. But we had our designer make stuff all cute, like with our logo, wine glasses, sweatshirts, mugs with sayings like, don't make me use my HR voice. But then we thought, okay, how do we sell it? We use Shopify. So we can have our own site and make it easy for our Besties listeners to see what we have and grab it easily. It's much more easily than trying to visit every corporate headquarters ourselves and just show it in person. And although that does sound appealing, we'll stick to Shopify. Upgrade your business and get the same checkout we use with Shopify. Sign up for your $1 per month trial period at shopify.com/HRBesties. That's all lowercase. Go to shopify.com/HRBesties to upgrade your selling today. Shopify.com/HRBesties.
Ready to launch a career and future you can be proud of? Welcome to Merrill, where an industry-leading advisor training program will help you get licensed. And with lead gen support from Bank of America's vast customer base, you'll get the referrals you need to establish your own practice. It's time to see your career charge forward with Merrill. Apply now at careers.bankofamerica.com. Copyright 2024 Bank of America Corporation.
What I really love about it is that I'm a strategist. I love all things strategy. I'm not really in the I suck at like admin and tactical things, right? And ever since I became an entrepreneur with like HR Manifesto, that is so hard for me. Keeping up on the emails or my schedule or like just some of the behind the scenes, more administrative tasks. And that's what I've been leaning into it on so that then I can turn and like focus on my writing, focus on my content, right? Focus on my brand relationships, my, follower relationships, my comments, right? It has freed up a lot of time for me to focus on the things I really enjoy doing in my business, right? I mean, so for me, that's been so invaluable. And back in the day, like 6 months ago, when I was working in corporate, I started using it for communications, for consistency's sake, right? I have all the information and the data, but with the lack of a comms professional or whatever, you can put that there. Put just kind of the main things you need conveyed, and it's like, there we go, right? How wonderful. I can get a succinct message like Jamie's talking about, right? Or I'm in a brain fog and, here we go. Help with an email real quick, right? Things like that they don't need a lot of creativity or trying to create, just a message real quick that's succinct and makes sense. My goodness, it's a lifesaver. Oh, big time.
Yeah. I think we're all aligned here.
Oh, there she goes. There she
Always
goes.
so good. Well, I'll put in the HR Besties stories and then the show notes, the links to LinkedIn Learning. I think I have like 2 nano courses, which are short, under 10 minutes each, on different AI topics. And really it talks about ChatGPT because it's really aimed towards people who are getting into it. And then I have a longer one where I'm dressed as a robot, become an AI powered manager that I think you need to have LinkedIn Premium for, but we'll see. But anyway, I'll put those, but it's just try it out. And if there's a question that you're going to go to like a private Facebook group for to get group input, I promise you, if you ask ChatGPT, like, what's a transition plan for my, HR coordinator starting? Like, you can probably get a really quick one, literally in seconds, a good template to start from.
Oh my God. Love that. Ooh, job descriptions. Shall we transition into questions and comments? Questions or comments?
I have a quick comment. My comment is, if AI wants to take my job, please have it. Take it. Bye.
Yes. Bye. I love that. I think that's funny. Like, when is it going to take my job already, please?
Yeah. Like, hurry up. God.
Like, do we have a date?
Yeah.
Do we have a date on that so I can exhaust my vacation?
An exit plan.
My quick question for all of you all. So not a comment, but just a quick question. Shout out one creative use for AI, or make that make sense. You know what I'm saying? Like something you used AI for that we haven't yet talked about. Just a quick one. I'll go first. I've been doing trip itineraries.
Ooh.
And it's brilliant. Like, hey, I went to New York City recently and I said, hey, going to New York City these dates. Here's my flight. Here's what I want to do. I need 3 restaurant options for each meal. Put the Uber time, like put the travel time for each location. Give me some, and it just boop, 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 boop. I mean, it was brilliant. And it was a wonderful starting point. So highly recommend trip itineraries.
I like that. And mine, to piggyback, to use, our corporate speak from many episodes ago, is when I'm traveling with my kids and they're like, do I need a packing list? And now I get ChatGPT and I'll say, can you do a packing list for like a 10-year-old boy for 4 nights at the beach? Again, it's a start. Sometimes I look at it and I'm a little questioning the pajama to underwear ratio, but generally it's very good. When my daughter and I had gone to, she came to see me speak at a women's leadership conference, and then we went to Olivia Rodrigo. ChatGPT encouraged her to look at the arena's policies of whether she'll need a clear purse for the concert. And it's like, hey girl, that sounds like an amazing weekend. Like it's,
oh, that's brilliant.
So we look at it together. That is as a family.
I love that.
But yeah, it's so it can be helpful to make traveling even easier.
Jamie, what do you got?
Well,
anything?
Mine is not as fun.
Oh, that's okay.
Mine is.
It can be boring and shitty. I'm just kidding.
Actually, Ashley, you told me about it, and it's to help with performance reviews. So I know I have a really hard time bragging about myself. Yes, I keep a kudos file. Yes, I know exactly what I did, but it's very hard to brag on myself. So I actually used it recently to complete my performance review, where I plugged in my kudos and what I accomplished, and it helped me with the wording. And that's all to Ashley. I believe you mentioned it in one of your courses. I don't think it's the nano. I think it's the longer one. And I highly suggest it. It was very helpful for me. Like I said, just the verbiage alone. I didn't feel like I was like, I did this and I did this, even though a robot wrote it.
Love that. That's brilliant. That is so clever.
It's all Ashley.
Thank you. What's all? ChatGPT. It's all the kitty. It's all
Love
the kitty.
It's all kitty farts. Oh, wow. I love that. That is a great idea. Love it.
Now I have that yin yang song in my head. If you know, you know.
I know.
I do not know. I'm out of it. Ashley, question or comment? What do you got? Close us out.
My last comment is for managers and leaders, which is as you think about things like innovations, like a ChatGPT or AI, talk about it with your team and share these things, just like we're doing here. Talk with your team about how they effectively use AI, but do not do it to just think, how can I then get more and more and more out of my team? Because your team can end up getting burnt out if they feel like, and they'll hesitate to give suggestions on how they're more efficient if they feel like it's just going to make them exhausted. And so as you have innovations, just be mindful, you should be able to then bear some benefit to that as well. And whether that's your team, finishes their day 15 minutes early. So have the conversations, talk about it, but also reassure them that it doesn't mean you're just going to continuously pile on.
Oh, that's a mic drop right there if I ever heard one. I love it. Oh, gosh. Well, besties, we appreciate you. And we did not put that into the chat GPT to say it. Like that is straight from us right there. No cat farts on that one. But we appreciate you listening. Definitely a little quick CTA call to action. Go and follow us on our social channels if you have not already, and share in the DMs, your favorite way to use AI, especially at work or in your personal life. And we'll certainly share those in our stories. Thank you so much. Keep following, sharing, listening, all of that fun stuff. Bye, besties.
Shake it like a salt shaker.